Dolly and I have at least one thing in common, very much. She and I were born and grew up in East Tennessee by the Great Smoky Mountains. She and I share common roots. This coming Thursday, I plan to wake early and drive home to Tennessee to see my mom, my 3 sisters, my 2 brothers. My father passed away there in 2004. His ashes are buried in the Smoky Mountains. I've made this drive south many times during the 21 years Richard and I have lived in Ohio. Engraved in my memory are the mountains that start to appear on the horizon just after I-71 merges into I-75. And I know for certain when I've passed those horse farms of Kentucky and am deep in the south, those mountains will appear again. And an undeniable stir will occur deep in my soul, down in my roots. Maybe you have felt this at times when you've been away from your home and you've gone back. But going back to Tennessee is not the only time I can feel this. Frequently it's happened here at church, especially when we've sung a favorite hymn. Quoting today's very willing organist, Gordon Ober, he says, "Music speaks to our soul." And sacred music, especially the hymns that some of us have known and sung for many years, can calm us and comfort us. They can transport us back to a better place. They inspire, and they definitely unite us. Gordon is one among many of you who I've come to know more and better since I began my new job as church secretary. This has been a perk and a pleasure I never imagined. I see all that the volunteers do for this church, and for the most part, it's behind the scenes. Like you come in one Sunday and there's new pencils in the pew racks with erasers on them. Who did that? Nobody knows. Well, some of us do, but anyway. Your contributions strengthen us and help keep us connected as a church family. So after Gordon agreed to support me on Laity Sunday by playing the organ, I decided to start asking some of you as you came into the office what your favorite hymns are, what your story is. And I got to learn a lot about some of the people in this church. And today we're going to sing some of the ones you named most often. Carol Keister was one of my first unsuspecting victims. And from her response, I got the idea for the children's message. Carol's favorite church song is "They'll Know We Are Christians by Our Love." It's on page 284. And Tom, I left mine home. I'll tell you what's your hymn. Thank you. She learned it during her days at Presbyterian Youth Camp. We're going to sing the first verse of this song. That's what we're going to do with all the songs. But for this one, we're going to sing it just like we did at youth camp, for those of us that got to go. And we're going to do it a cappella. Page 284, "They'll Know We Are Christians by Our Love." Gordon's going to get us started with the first note. From day one of my job here, Russ Post and the rest of the IT committee have always been there to answer my questions, to train me, to answer more questions, and then to retrain me, and then you get the picture. Because these guys and Kim are working hours to keep our church up to date. The website, the computers, the database, more. So when I asked Russ what his favorite hymn was, I was so pleased because he chose "Pass It On," which is one of the songs I sung when I was a youth. It's on page 309. Pass it on. How many of you are familiar with this song? Oh, there's others here. Good. Russ, I'm counting on you. Shout it from the mountaintops as we sing Pass It On, page 309. It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on. We're going to stand and sing the third verse of that one too. Stand up. Warren, do you mind playing it again? This time, now that you're familiar with it. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountaintops. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. Thank you. You may be seated. On most Thursdays of my work week, I've come to count on the broad smile and the words of encouragement from Roger Shawless as he wanders in to lead the Thursday morning Bible studies. Roger tells me his favorite hymn is the Battle Hymn of the Republic on page 569. 569. And again, I think of this song. A lot of us carry this song deep within us, and it's such a triumphant song. I can only imagine the soldiers who have fought and defended our country thinking of this song, giving themselves, encouragement and strength from God. Let's sing the first verse of 569, Battle Hymn of the Republic. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faithful lightning of His terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Many of our most favorite hymns speak about the wonder of nature and God's miraculous creation. One popular pick was In the Garden, page 425. Deborah Davis, our tireless rummage sale coordinator, was the first to name it. Deborah hails from a Baptist background, just like me, and this song holds many precious memories for both of us. I find such comfort in its simple words about our close and personal relationship with a Heavenly Father who can walk with us and talk with us. It's on page 425 in the garden. Last year, Carol Bowman took over the management of our library from Sarah Akins. These ladies have put in countless hours researching, cataloging, and organizing the thousands of wonderful books we have. Carol continues to spend many hours each week on this task. Her favorite hymn is Morning Has Broken, page 60. Sometimes when I am outside on a morning and I can see those sun's golden rays shooting down through the trees, this song comes to my mind. And I think about how grateful I am that God does recreate each new day, like this song says. Page 60, Morning Has Broken. Another one of this too. You sound so pretty. Stand up and let's sing the last verse of this one too. It's the sunlight, light is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Thank you. I changed how I was going to introduce this next one, so now I'm going to have to wing it. Liz Suter, as you know, Christian Education Director, her roots are here in Aurora. She was raised in this church, right? And I can't help but wonder if that was all part of a master plan, because she has come in and for years now has taken hold of our Christian Education Department, and she lives that role. She is that role. And I just wonder if that was all part, when she was here as a young person, that God thought, I'm going to mold and make that woman to be what we need here in this church. Well, Liz's favorite song is This Is My Father's World, page 57. I remember my daughter Georgiana saying that this was her favorite hymn when we've sung it before. page 57, nope, this 58. This is my Father's world. By far, the most popular favorite hymn among those I asked is How Great Thou Art on page 4. This was my father's favorite hymn, too. Page 4. How many in here would say this is your favorite hymn? Oh, quite a few of us. Yeah. Okay. Judy Byram, who comes in weekly to put the numbers on the hymn board, said this was her favorite, that she sang it as a child. And then when I asked Don Matulowicz, who's the chair of our trustees, and what a big volunteer commitment that is, says it takes him back to the Billy Graham Crusades and listening to George Beverly Shea's deep voice. Well, there's no reason why, since this is a familiar tune, that we can't raise the roof on this one. So if you'd like to stand, we're going to sing the first verse of page 4, How Great Thou Art. Wouldn't it be nice if our souls felt like singing every day? That if each day passed peacefully, and we all know that that's not the way it is, that we don't always get to have happy walks in the garden. And there are mornings when we wake up and our troubles seem so deep that we feel we might drown. On those days, we cherish our roots and we cling to them so we don't topple over. And I think that's why many of the hymns people named were the favorites of their grandparents or parents, and especially dads. One of those named was from Nancy Schnell. Her favorite hymn was also her father's, and it's Old Rugged Cross, and it's on page 186. The Old Rugged Cross.
Stood an old rugged
Diane Brubaker and Ingrid Cuppage, and I don't see you this morning. Are you here? Ah, there's Ingrid. They come in to help out in the office many, many times, especially to help me produce the Spire. Diane, I bet you're in the choir. No, she's traveling. Okay. When I spoke with her about this, and with Ingrid, we talked about our shared heritage going to church. And Diane says that one of her favorite hymns is "It Is Well With My Soul," page 493. So I think about that when I think about those mornings when things aren't going quite the way you'd like for them to go, or troubles have seemed rather deep, and we're clinging to our roots, and we're thinking about what we've laid at the altar. We know it is well with our souls, and that's on page 493. Let's sing that verse. Verse 1. Holy, 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 and Amazing Grace are included in our worship hymns today because both of these were named often. And I can now say that if you want to make Gordon Ober cry, which I never want to do again, ask him about Amazing Grace. By the way, Gordon was in the office a lot working on the Worship Preferences Survey. And if you've not turned yours in, there's some blank ones on the hunt table. There's still time. But Gordon was not alone when it came to being humbled by Amazing Grace. Jim Mollis and Jim Truman both say that its words are a personal testimony for them. So in closing, if you came this morning expecting a sermon, you didn't get one. But if you came expecting a message, then I believe you may have received one. Not from me, but from the words of these beautiful sacred songs to which we are rooted, either from childhood or by choice. Many of you know that Richard and I teach the confirmation class, and we with Reverend Hort try really, really hard to convey what we know about God and living a Christian life. But there is no way we can teach about the joy you feel when you sing these songs or when you volunteer in a church like ours, a community church. Your active presence, your personal contributions, your support, the many ways you show the love of God, that reinforces the faith and our blessed assurance that we feel here. And so, as we did on the night that the Mennonite choir sang in June, let's stand and sing once again the words of a blessed assurance. Page 2. What page is it? Thank you. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. you're standing, let's sing the last verse of that one, like we did on that night. A cappella.